Hello, I'm Jerry McKee, and welcome to Prime Time. We've got Tim Svedlund here. Svedlund? I'm going to have to get you that last name. I'll tell you what, I've been trying to figure out that I hope I'm getting it right. But we got a great program for you tonight. We're going to find out a little about Tim that nobody knows about. We know about anywhere from Dino on up to Tiny Bubbles, and a lot of different advertisements, and he does a lot of stuff for Union and the university. And I tell you, we got so much to ask. Tim, how you doing?
I'm good, Jerry. I'm good. First of all, I got a problem with my contract. You told me it was going to be about 75 degrees, sunny. We're going to sit out on the porch. You missed it by a few, but anyway, it's nice out here.
Well, I put lights on for the sunny. that way you can glow.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. And let me tell you about the name first. It is a Swedish name. It's Svedlund, but nobody runs around and says Svedlund, so we make the V sound like a W. It's
I'm
Svedlund.
so glad you said that.
Yeah.
Because
so
my
Swedish
wife,
Svedlund. Okay, but really Tim is that's it.
okay. Well, I went and Googled it and had it pronounced it, and I seen it was Sweden.
Mm-hmm.
And the way you pronounce it, I said that like that. She says, "Nope, that's not the way it goes." I am so glad you said that.
Yeah.
Man, But now, let's go back a little bit because we want to find out, Journey, how you made it to little old small town Union. And now, where did you grow up mostly?
I was born in right outside of Chicago, and then I moved to Atlanta, Georgia, in the early '60s, when I was like less than 2 years old, and stayed there till I was, I believe, 12. And my dad, he was a salesman down there, and he was over the southeast, and he traveled all the time, so he didn't really get to see me and my brother much. And he'd had about enough of that, and he told the company he was going to just find something else to do. And they said, "No, we'll move you back up." Their headquarters were in Chicago, and my parents were actually from Central Illinois, a little old town of 3,500 people, and that's where they wanted to move us back to, and us finish growing up in a small community like that. So we did. We moved back to a little town, Gibson City, Illinois, and my senior class was like 110 students, and it was one of the biggest ones they'd ever had. But it was it's in a farm area, and people ask me all the time, well, how did you get here, and why did you stay here? And I said, well, I've been fortunate enough to move around a lot and see a lot of things. I tell people I've lived in 9 different states, and people, lots of times when you live somewhere, you always want to go somewhere else,
Right.
But people here really don't realize what they have, and a lot of what they have is very similar to what I grew up in. And you can drive to go do whatever you need to do, but coming back to Union, and it looks better every single day, folks. I'm telling you, between the traffic and the crime and everything else going on in this world, I mean, Union is just a great place to be, and inexpensive. That is the thing. And when I say I moved around a lot, well, every one of them were for opportunities. My grandparents on each side owned restaurants.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yes, sure did, on both sides. So I was brought up, seeing how you treat people.
Right.
You treat people the way you want to be treated. You treat people, I mean, obviously they want to get them to come back in and eat with them again, so
right.
you try to treat them good.
What type of restaurants do they have?
Well, my one side was like a mom and pop and a bar too.
Uh-huh.
Up in Illinois, there's not a whole lot to do, so especially in the winter. So they got bars every 30 feet, it seemed like. But so my granddad ran the bar, and my grandma ran the restaurant. It was all together. So she'd go in early in the morning. They didn't see each other a whole lot. She'd go in early in the morning, make all the pies, all the meat and threes, and then he'd come in and then tend bar till 1 in the morning or whatever. And then in the same town now, and then my other grandmother had a restaurant at a little truck stop. So hers was all, home cooking, chickens out there. She'd tell Dad, go run out there, we need another chicken, you know what I'm saying? So so I saw what hard work was, number one. And,
right.
and for the folks who've been in the restaurant business, they know it is very hard work. I know you've done it. I know when I first met you, you either were doing it or just had. But so I saw I was raised in a work ethic, and then I saw just how you treat people, which is everybody should treat people. I tell people all the time, I said, listen, everybody at some point in their life should wait tables.
Exactly.
You really should, because you just don't understand what the person's going through that's waiting the tables. I mean, and it's so. It's definitely a different world now.
Now, when your dad was small, did he work in the restaurant? Did they have
he
work
did.
in there?
He did work there. Then he went off to the Marines, and then when he came back, he had hurt his hand, and he got discharged. And he was sitting in Mom's restaurant, and the coffee salesman came in there and sat down, got an order, and was sitting there eating breakfast, and got to talking to Dad. He'd been out one day, Jerry, out of the Marines. And the guy got talking to my dad, and you and I were talking about my dad earlier. I mean,
Right.
You talk to my dad very long. He's very infectious.
Yes.
You want to talk to him. You want to be around him. So back then, I think he was 19 or 20, in the company, they had a policy. You had to be 24, I think, to go to work for them, out selling. So,
Right.
but the guy ended up hiring my dad, and he first hired him. He said, "We got a good salesman in this area. However, he lost his driver's license." So he said, "I'm going to hire you to learn from him, but I'm going to hire you to drive him around." Well, that didn't last very long. Before you knew it, this guy had got approval from the main office to, so Dad started selling. So by the time he was 20, I guess 24 or 25, they offered him to move to Atlanta and start opening up the area down there. So
Wow.
we moved to Atlanta. Like I said, I'm just less than 2 years old.
Right.
So we moved down there, and Waffle Houses were just starting. I think they literally had 4 or 5 Waffle Houses. That was it. And so Dad's a coffee salesman, and they sold some other products and stuff. But somebody told him, he said, "Oh, well, you can't get that business." And so Dad said, "Well, yeah, I'm gonna try to." So he called and talked to the guy, and the guy said, "Be here at 6 o'clock in the morning." So Dad said, I went in there, I sat down, I was sitting in his office waiting on him, and right on his desk plate it said, "Randy Buck Shavers." So Dad was a big hunter too, so Dad said, "I got this. This is nothing." So he ended up, long story short, he signed up Waffle Houses, and then actually started selling all them. Then they started franchises and growing, and so Dad and 3 other guys that were in the same coffee company with him, they bought franchises. And we ended up having Waffle Houses all through Kentucky and part of Indiana.
Wow.
So he had those for, I guess, probably 15 years after we moved back to Illinois, and then he started up another thing of restaurants, and then that's when I started getting. So I went in the restaurant business. Mm-hmm. So that's how I traveled around a lot, because we ended up having restaurants in different areas and things, and
that's how you learned your selling skills and your skills of creative skills. Because we're going to show you a clip here in a few moments about one of your ads that I like to boast. That's why I picked that one to show, the Mission Impossible, and all those ads. I was amazed with the creativity of it and the writing of it. And when we get into more of that, I'm going to ask you more about that. And I did one ad for you for a football game. I'm going to show that right now here in a second. And in that football and video in this, I noticed you had no script. You took it right off the hip. We didn't have to edit and redo it all. Mm-hmm. And that kind of impressed me, because it's just, it's hard for people just to come off the top of their head of an ad. Okay, we're ready to go. We met that morning, and you probably already had in your mind what you're going to say, and you just said it. We done it, and I thought that was pretty impressive. So it got a lot of creativity, and you've probably been a good DJ in the radio station too.
Yeah. Well, the one thing about the commercials too is I have no idea how many radio and TV commercials I've ever done, but I did them for years. Not just here, way before I ever got here,
right.
But on a TV commercial, you only have 30 seconds. I mean, at least a radio, they're going to give you 60 seconds.
Right.
So when you're doing TV, and you know, when we got the Chrysler, we came to Union. Let me just move on how I got to Union.
Oh,
like
okay.
you said, okay, from the restaurant business, I'd gotten in the car business and had done that and moved around with that some, and then me and Dad talked about it. And we were always trying to figure out what we could do next or whatever. So we decided, and he said, well, see what you can find. So, well, people ask me all the time, well, how did you get to Union? I said, well, this is the only thing we could afford, you know. And so Chrysler, when the Kirby had the Chrysler store here, and Chrysler, they said that the planning potential based on the population and the income and the workforce and all this stuff, they said we should sell 10 to 15 new cars a month.
Right.
So, but we looked around, and I knew that, you know, we can pull people, but you got to give them a reason. You can buy a Dodge or a Chrysler or a Jeep anywhere.
Right.
I mean, they're all the same thing. You know, we all paid the same price as dealers, but I got to convince you that, listen, it's worth driving 30 minutes down here from Spartanburg or wherever you're coming from, that you're going to get a better deal. And I promise you're going to get treated better before the sale, during the sale, and after the sale. And so I knew we could do that. And so immediately, once we got here, you know, we started doing, of course, local radio. WBCU's been great all through the years to me. And so we did a lot of radio, and we started doing, back then we had the charter cable here.
Right.
So you could buy cable TV ads. It was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. I mean, I might pay $2 or $3 for a spot.
Yeah.
And we'd send it all over the place. You'd buy all these channels. You could be on ESPN. You could be on the Food Network. You could be,
Yeah.
you didn't have to worry about just getting on SPA Channel 7, you know, and spending, you know, $500 for 30 seconds, you know,
Right.
so for one spot. So it was, it really, and it just started kind of blowing up. And then, you know, I'm on there doing these commercials, and we originally started out with a forklift, and we were the warehouse, and we're stacking them deep, and we're selling them cheap. And, well, you know, after a while, you're still just selling. So now you
Right.
got to come up with something a little more creative. And at the time, Jurassic Park had just started coming out.
Right.
And so me and the guy that shot my commercials from Charter, we kind of started talking about it. And I said, well, look, can we do this? And he goes, yeah, but how are you going to sell cars? You only got 30 seconds. So that's what we started out going to the movie route.
Right.
Okay, so yeah, and that's where Dino came in. That was the first one, was Jurassic Park thing. But,
Right.
So you had 30 seconds. You had to get something in there about the movie. You had to get something in there to create some excitement. You had to make people want to come down there and buy from us. And then you had to have prices on your cars, and you had to give them at least 3. I mean, you wanted to get your money's worth, and boom. So, and then it just went from there. We would do different, you know, we'd do different movies, whatever was coming out. You know, we did all kind of things. And, you know, like I said, I know the one you said you picked out was Mission Impossible. We did The Gladiator. We did Austin Powers. We did some Elvis stuff. We just anything. And like you said, it was. You know, I tell people all the time, and I don't even know how you can do it now. These young kids now, they are so inundated with so much information.
Right.
They can't focus on one thing because there's 50 things over here that's being shot at them.
That's right. That's
So
why a lot of them, these short reels that they have on YouTube and also on Facebook. I'm around them a lot, and that's what they look at because it's quick. They just read it. Oh, okay.
Quick.
Goes to the next one. Okay, go to the next one.
It's quick. But I always had the philosophy that whatever you're going to do, make it simple for yourself. I mean, you got to work hard. I mean, nobody's going to say I never worked hard. I work hard till today.
Oh, yeah.
So, but just keep it simple so you can be great at what you're doing.
Right.
You know, I can't stand to go out to a restaurant that's supposed to be a steakhouse, and they got 9 pages of stuff in there, from pasta to seafood to pizza to anything you want. It's
Too
like,
much.
Yeah.
And
So
instead
it's
of
like, hey,
specializing in one thing.
I came here, yeah, exactly. So just be good at what you're doing.
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of the way it is. So when you say, hey, I never had a script for any of them, Jerry. I mean, I had ideas.
Right.
And, you know, it may take a few takes, but I've literally had commercials that I did in one take too. You know, it was good enough. You know, so.
Well, you already had.
But I knew what
you want to do.
Yeah, I knew, and that's when you hire somebody to do something. They've got to learn it,
Right.
They can't have the passion and the feeling because they don't even know what that is for whatever product you're trying to sell. So, but I
You know your
did.
product.
Yeah, yeah. So,
We're going to show you a commercial here at Union Quick Lube, and now the discount card there's no discount.
oh, this was
so
a few years back.
This
I'm
is a few
surprised
years
you
back,
said
so
that.
you don't even have that right there. So this is the one I came up and I was talking about that you just off the top of your head went right with it. It's for the tiny bubbles got there,
Yeah, yeah.
and also I'm going to show that right now.
Hey folks, this is Tim at Union Quick Lube, and it's football season again. Make sure you get your Union County football card, and I'll save you $3 on your Pennzoil oil change. Right here at 520 Rice Avenue, right here in Union. We got the #1 oil in the world, Pennzoil. We got the #1 team. We get you in, we get you out. The name says it all, Quick Lube, folks. And oh yeah, we got the free checkups. Anytime you're heading out to the away games or home games, stop on by. We'll check your air, all your fluids, your oil, everything. Union Quick Lube. Go Jackets!
Now you see it, people? That's right off the top of the head.
It's the same thing now.
And we did not. What amazed me, I didn't have to take. I think it was like 1, maybe 2 takes. That's it. That was it. And I said, "Wow!" I've had people that I've done little ads with, and it's taken a couple hours.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say what politicians, what it was, but
Well, and like I said, that's the one thing about the oil change. You know, I'm not gonna say I didn't want the oil change, but I didn't want the oil change. But anyway, I got the oil changed, and what the first thing that I did is I wanted to make sure. And at the time, Jerry, we're selling used cars. This is after Chrysler came in and everything crashed, and back in 09,
Right.
08, and so they shut all these smaller town dealers down and everything. But I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to leave Union.
Right.
So I opened up a little used car lot, and so when I got the oil change, it was going to have used cars and do the oil.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to meet with all the different oil companies because number one, that's a big reputation there that you're going to keep these cars running and coming back. Plus, when I looked at everybody and met with everybody, Pennzoil had the best warranty. So in other words, if you started using their oil, you didn't have to do it from day one. Just you started doing it when you had less than 60,000 miles on the car. They'd give you like this 3,000 mile warranty, 250,000 or 3 year stupid amount of mileage. I mean, I don't even remember what it was, but I tied it into my used cars.
right.
So I was like, hey, you buy a used car, we just changed the oil on the Pennzoil. We'll log you into Pennzoil and you're covered. So
Wow.
it was a no-brainer. Plus, back in the day when I told you I grew up in Illinois in the farm country, my first real job was working for an oil company selling oil to farmers. Now, I don't want you to think that I know a lot about oil, but I did learn real quick that our oil was definitely different than what the farmers were buying at all the other little places.
Right.
Theirs was cheaper, but there was a big reason. So I saw the difference, and that company was actually from Pennsylvania, and they actually used the same crude base that Pennzoil did, because that's where Pennzoil originally
Right.
was from. So I knew going in Pennzoil was really good, but I gave everybody their fair shake. But that's why I went with Pennzoil. And now after being there, we're coming up on 12 years.
Time goes by. You know,
Oh, it flies.
back in your dealership, like I think we have bought every car that we have since you went in business, and even when you went to the other car lot.
Yeah.
From you, as a matter of fact, the SUV that I bought from you, I just sold it probably was this last year,
Yeah.
and you've been where you at now for 12 years, and I bought that probably
Oh,
5
well, you
years
got to
before
look. I
then,
mean, that was 2009 when Chrysler still
and
closed
it
down,
still
so.
run. It looks
Yeah, it's
Just
15
like when I
years
bought
ago.
it.
It flies by. It really does. But thank you, by the way, for supporting us, and that's part of the reason that I stayed here.
Yeah,
So,
well, we found out that we could go to Spartanburg like that, or go somewhere else and buy one, but it's not like your hometown.
Yeah.
That you lived here. You had to meet people and see people, so you had a reputation that you had to keep and want to keep.
yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah,
And that's why you're successful with that, and also with Quick Lube.
yeah,
And recently opened Tiny Bubbles.
yeah, yeah. Well, Tiny Bubbles it just came about. One, Union had a big need for that.
Right.
And I had a guy that worked for me for years, Dennis Smith. He worked for Tom Jones for years with him, and then Then he was cleaning, he was washing cars for us at the Chrysler store, and then when Tom retired or whatever, we moved up there to the corner when we closed down the Chrysler store. So Dennis just kept working. He was working with us. So when I went down and got the oil change, Dennis worked for us, and I put a little garage out there for him to wash cars in, because he had a lot of customers that still wanted him to wash cars and
Right.
stuff. Well, then, you know, rest his soul, Dennis passed away. And then I had all these people that were, you know, because we literally go pick the car up at their house or whatever, and Dennis would wash it, and we'd take it back. And people were like, well, Tim, what are you going to do? I mean, who's going to wash our car? How are we going to get our car? I don't have time to go out there and wash it. But anyway, so then I started seeing these car washers were kind of popping up places, and the thought came, you know, hey, this would just be a great tie-in with the oil change. And I mean, the customers are already here.
Right.
You know, so it's worked out really well, and it's.
I know my wife loves it because, you know, we got the do-it-yourselfer car washes here in Union.
Yeah.
But you got to get out. You got
Well,
to
there are a lot of people, Jerry, that physically can't do that.
Right.
I mean, that, you know, and that's fine. There's plenty of cars here. Last time I looked, there was like 29,000 registered cars in Union County. Really,
Yeah.
I mean, it's something. So I mean, there's plenty of places for a car wash and plenty of cars to be washed. So this was, and then when I started checking into it, you could get, you know, the ones with the brushes, and you could get the ones without the brushes, and I'd heard, you know, all the horror stories about, you know, hey, knocking mirrors off and taking this off and this and that. So I went and I looked, and I was fortunate enough to meet with a company in North Carolina. The guy was third generation. His granddaddy had started a company. They had built over 800 car washes, so they knew what they were doing.
Right.
And I had done the research, and it led me to them based on the company that the equipment. The equipment is a big thing to me, because I'm like, hey, I don't know how to fix a car wash, you know. So I need to have service. I need to have somebody close if I need it, and I need to have equipment that's not going to break down. So I met with the guy, and we were talking about it, and he told me some things do and don't do, and we didn't always agree on that. But anyway, he told me, first thing he told me to not do. That's an automatic car wash, and it's not supposed to be attended. Do not put somebody out there to attend to the cars. In other words, don't start scrubbing tires. Don't have anybody there at all. And I said, well, no disrespect, sir, but I'm gonna tell you right now, there's not a car wash in Union, and there's a lot of cars that have never been washed, and I don't care what kind of car wash you sell, it's not going to get it clean. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you got to make an impression. Now, does every car come out of there like a full detail? Well, heck no. But that's why we've been there almost 2 years now with the car wash, and during business hours at the oil change, usually I've got somebody up there to help. One, it was originally
Right.
two, to show you how to use the screen, how to get in the, you know, what to do.
And then
it also helped. We get the dirt off, and then, you know, after you start coming, you know, several times a month, then, hey, the cars come out really looking good. And people really I was surprised how many people had not seen a touchless car wash. They were like, I've never seen one. And I mean, you know, so, and they like the fact that, you know, people.
I like it better.
One thing about it, from back when I was in the car business in Union to what people in Union now, they're driving a whole lot nicer cars. People here are making a whole lot more money than what they used to when I first came here. They can afford better things. They're more appreciative of what they do have, and they want to take care of it.
Right.
So that was the other reason, hey, we're taking care of your engine, taking care of your car, so here's another thing with the car wash. So,
well, I know with like you said, you had the person there to show. I work on printers and things, and sometimes the customer get a new printer, and you got to take time to show them, because it's a different screen.
hey,
And
most of us are computer illiterate. Believe me.
And some comes up that's, like you said, hadn't been to type of car wash like that before.
Yeah.
And I think that's a plus, because they're not getting frustrated.
Yep.
And they say, well, I'll come back because they got the attention of the attendant, and not just a machine there.
Well, and the other thing he told me, Jerry, was you need to have your top wash needs to be $20. And I told him, I said, well, okay, I appreciate your opinion, but I'm not going to have a $20 car wash. I learned a long time ago in business. People ask me, hey, I'm thinking about going to business, and I'll say, okay, well, what are you going to do? What are you going to have? What are you going to sell? Whatever it may be. The number one thing you got to have is you have to have volume. Because if you don't have volume, the rest of it, if you don't have volume and you're selling $12 hamburger steaks, and the volume isn't enough to cover the bills, what are you going to do? You're not going to lower it to 8 and hope more people come, because that you're going to go broke. Right. And you're not going to be able to go to 14, because then the ones you do have aren't going to come. Then all of a sudden you're stuck. Yeah. So you have to, and I never try to gouge anybody on price. I kept my oil change prices until 2 years ago. We had the same prices for 9 years.
That's good nowadays.
Well, yeah, I didn't believe, and believe me, oil's like gas. I mean, they changed my prices, but I'm not going to sit there and change. And if I've got you coming in there getting an oil change from me 4, 5, 6 times a year, I'm not going to one time say, hey, Jerry, this time it's this much, and you come back in there and I'm down $1, and the next time I went up 5, and I mean, that's not good business to me. I just keep coming. You just give me the volume, and then we can adjust that. Right. And even to this day, my Pennzoil people are like, well, yeah. And just like we do the free checkups, well, we give you, if we check your car and it needs oil, I give you the first quart for free. No, you go buy a quart of oil anywhere. I mean, $5 to $8, $9, whatever. Yep. I give you that because you're my customer, and I'm going to take care of you. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And they tell me, they said, well, how can you afford to do that? I said, well, how the heck can you afford not to do that? You know how hard it is to get a customer today? That's the cheapest advertising in the world, me to take care of my customers. Yep. And they go tell somebody that, hey, you need to go over here, or go get your car checked out before you go to the beach. Why would you not? It doesn't cost you anything. Yeah. I mean, you see what I'm saying? So,
and topping it off with fluids. To me, I love that because
you don't have to have it. People say, I could change my oil for almost that same price. I said, okay, well, good. Make sure when you're in there, you got to buy the brake fluid. You got to buy some power steering fluid. Oh, gosh, you're going to need some antifreeze. And, what are you going to do with the oil? You got to pay a disposal fee. You got to get rid of the oil. I mean, there's a lot of things to it. But the main reason I'm telling you that, Jerry, is I'm a consumer too. Mm-hmm. And most of my decisions I've ever made in business, I try to put myself on that side over there. How would I feel? You see what I'm saying? I mean, and I try to make it fair. And I want to thank the people in Union because, they've been supportive. And, I try to support everything I can in Union, as much as you can. Right. And it's not just support. It's not just over there, hey, take care of Tim. I'm fortunate. I got a great crew. I mean, I've had people with me for years, and they know what that's about is I take care of them. These places say they can't get workers, they can't keep workers. Well, you got to take care of that. Exactly.
And that's one thing I know about your work. When you go there, I'm not coming there and seeing somebody new every week and like that. And they stay there for a reason. Yeah, been taken care of.
And then I've witnessed the Pennzoil product too. So that's. I mean, it's amazing how many miles. There's a lot of Chryslers, Dodges, Jeeps, Chevys, Fords riding around from back when I sold cars that there is no way I would have ever thought they're still running with 200,000-300,000 miles on them. They weren't designed for that. You know what I'm saying? I've got people that advertise sometimes. I say this on the radio with Chris on WBCU. I mean, I got customers coming in there 500,000-600,000 miles. Wow. And the thing we were talking about, people making more money and the economy's better in Union and people's, well, a lot of these people, I mean, they're sacrificing a lot to do that. One, they're either working 6-7 days a week, a lot of them, or they're driving almost 2 hours plus a day sometimes to go out of town. Well, then, I mean, I've got customers come to me and get oil changed once a month. Mm-hmm. And you and me would think, gosh, boy, that's a lot. But
no, I drive a lot.
I know you do. Yeah. You got to go do what you got to do. So, they like the fact that we do take care of them, and we were looking at that old ad on there, and it's, we get you there and we get you back, and really that's what we pride ourselves in, is trying to make that happen.
Well, you're talking about someone changing the oil themselves. The cars now, the new ones especially, it has so much stuff underneath there and so much different filters and different. The wrenches is even
it's maddening. Everybody wants to try to be, and what they've done, Jerry, is the cars are better. They about put themselves out of business in the service department because the vehicles are better.
Right.
And So now they try to come up with things just like transmission. Tim, will you check my transmission? Well, we can't check your transmission. It doesn't have a dipstick. They want you to come back for these things. Whether it's wiper blades on some vehicles, you have to go to them and get the arm, and or parts or different kinds of filters or whatever it may be. Anything to try to get you back in there. And then now they give everybody, go buy a new car, they're going to give you free oil changes for 4 or 5, 6 of them, whatever. I get people that've got some of those left, and they said, I'm not going back up there. I'd rather come here and pay you, because you got to take 3 hours out of your day to go up there and sit, and then all they want to try to do is tell you all the other stuff that you need to be spending money on. Yep. And I said, and that's the other thing that with us just being a quick lube, we have no dog in the hunt. If I come in there and tell you, hey, your oil pan gasket's leaking, it's not because I'm trying to say, hey, Jerry, you need to pay me to fix it, because we don't fix it.
You don't fix it. Well, see, that's
who's your mechanic? You need to take it there.
Yeah, that's good to know, because you're right, because I have to take my vehicle into service, the company vehicle.
Yeah.
And they'll come back and say, well, you need this right here. That's what you have to call them and get them permission to do that right there. But they said, well, your windshield wipers, you need those. And one time went to this place, and I think it was 2 weeks before that, I had new ones on it. You know, and if you're not actually fixing, you had no reason to tell them it's not bad.
Well, I don't try to talk about other businesses,
right?
But
I understand that.
Let me tell you, if you go to an oil change place in Spartanburg, their philosophy is to get as much money out of you this time, because they don't know if they're going to get you back. Good chance they won't.
Right.
And with a philosophy like that, they're probably not going to.
Well,
because what they're charging for oil change, and it's expensive, but like I said, and their overhead and all that, it's a business. I'm not trying to say how they should run their business, but thank gosh I don't have to run my business like that.
Well, a lot of them is corporate owned.
Absolutely. It's all stockholders. They're looking at the bottom line. They're not worried about the customer, not worried about the employee. Right. And that shows. The people they got working some places, and it's just, it's definitely a different time now, but you go back and you talk about what I grew up seeing, and my grandparents and my dad, and just how people just treat. And I will say this, I had some people today, customers, and I love what I do because of the customers.
Oh yeah,
really. And there are so many good people in Union that just have great attitudes. Just and it's a pleasure to know that you're making their day better, doing something for them. It's Monday morning. We get people come in there, they're sitting out there waiting for us to open. This is on their list. I'm knocking this out. I'm going home. Some of them are getting off the third shift. Right. I'm getting this done. I'm going home, go to bed or whatever, or I've knocked it off for the week. And, but the people that I talk to and see, and, you were saying this is how you kind of learn a lot about what's going on in Union. Well, down there is how I kind of learn a lot about what's going on, because I'm listening to people living it. You know what I'm saying?
And plus, you're very quick. The quick is quick. Yeah. You better talk fast if you're going to get everything in, because it is quick. Yeah. And
well, we've looked at offering other services, and they're like, well, hey, you should offer this, you should offer that. I said, listen, if you're used to coming here and you're used to getting your oil changed and be gone in 10 minutes, and you're sitting behind somebody in here that we're jacking the car up and we're doing a tire rotation, and we're doing this, and we're changing this cabin air filter, and we're doing all these things that take 15, 20, 30 minutes, you're going to back up and you're going to leave.
Yeah.
And
and you're going to lose customers.
Yeah. Like I said, make it simple.
Yeah. Well, we talked about this too, about the younger generations, everything's instant, fast.
Oh, it's now.
Drive-throughs. They only go. They don't have time or don't want to make time.
Yeah.
And they want to get in and out of there.
Yeah.
And I know a quick loop you do. I want to show a commercial here that goes back to the Union Chrysler's day. This is one of my favorite ones that you've done, and we'll talk about your creativities in some of these commercials here. But this one right here was in 2005, I think, or 2008. It'll show on there the Mission Impossible one, and you use some of your, I believe some of your staff.
Yeah, it's all
in
my
this right
staff,
here.
yeah.
So
We can afford to pay anybody, Jerry.
we're going to watch this right here. Just
Permission, Tim. Invade Chrysler headquarters and lower prices on all Union Chrysler vehicles.
It's clear.
2005 Dodge Durango, down, 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 down. 2005 PT Cruiser, down, 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 down. Activated.
Tim, get out of there.
Stop hanging around and get on down to Union Chrysler where any deal is possible.
all right, I
man.
got to ask you about this one, Tim. I know that probably the Mission Impossible was coming
Yeah, they
on.
were in some big some big office place, and they were breaking in, and they did that. You know, they took the rope and lowered him down. You know, and it was, of course, there was lasers everywhere, and
I remember
you know,
seeing
he
that, yeah.
And he's down there, and
Tom Cruise,
yeah, he's sweating, and he's this far off the ground, and oh man, and then there's a rat up in the duct or something where
Right.
the guy was doing it or something. He's worried about it. I was like, man. But, you know, like I said, that's back when we were just trying to come up with anything.
Right.
And,
Now, did you write the script for that?
oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
And people don't realize you're writing a script for a 30-second commercial that they don't realize how long it takes to, with the creativity thinking that you've got to, in 30 seconds, it might, how long did it take you to I know you probably had it in your mind.
Well, by then, I did everything in my mind in 5-second increments, 5 to 10, depending on what the thing was.
Right.
That one there had a lot of moving parts. I mean,
Right.
shooting from this guy, this guy, this guy, and we're showing cars, and we're hanging, and we're, you know, so I don't know, Jerry. I can't remember what I did yesterday. So you're asking me how long it took me to do it. I don't know, but it wasn't. I mean, it was simple because, like I said, you knew what you were trying to get across, but the main thing was you were trying to sell cars. $14,995 for a PT Cruiser.
Right.
And I mean, that was cheap. That's what caught when you were showing that thing. I looked. I was like, $14,900, man, that was a good deal.
Yeah.
So,
But even with that, you're writing the script, you got to have in your mind thinking, okay, like you had to show 3 different vehicles there. You had to show,
Yeah.
you had to have time to be able to drop them prices down there. And it really goes fast in those 32 seconds or 30 seconds.
Really fast, yes.
And plus you got other parts, like you said here. And that's what intrigued me more about this, was that you had so many moving parts
Yeah.
to get done and said in that length of time.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's
Well, that's
fun
cool.
doing
I'm
it.
glad you brought that up. I hadn't seen that in a long time. That's kind of neat.
Yeah. Now you had fun doing it, didn't you?
Oh yeah, yeah. We used to love doing them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now the editing, did the TV people?
Yeah, I had a guy from Charter, and he was really good. And you could, back in the day, like I said, the first ones we did were stacking them deep, selling them cheap, and we had the forklift. Well, back in our shop, it was hard. Back in those days, you had, you know, the green screen that you could get in front of. They can put anything behind that,
Right.
like the weatherman does.
I use them here.
Yeah. So I said, well, we can't be putting cars. It was just a hassle going to Greenville. So I took a whole wall in the shop and painted it the green screen.
The green.
So now we can do we had a big area. We could do whatever we want. We're like being in a big movie studio, you know, so we could put 2-3 cars there and then a whole back. But literally I would pick cars up and throw them up on a shelf or whatever we needed to do. But the technology now, what they can do is it's unbelievable. But the guy that was over there, his name was Kelly Poole, I believe. Poole. And he loved doing this. He loved doing my commercials because he just liked that instead of just going out and shooting the normal little 30-second
just pick
TV
lower-
spot.
lower thirds up and all that stuff, yeah.
So he really liked it. So that he got to use his technology and use his talents to be able to edit and make things, you know, so it was really neat.
Yeah, I've got a 24-foot by 28-foot green screen.
Yeah.
And then I got another one that's just 8 foot that I just pop
up,
like that.
yeah.
And still use them.
Yeah,
and,
sure. Well, everybody does, and
Yes.
like I say, especially with all the computer stuff now, the technology and what you can put on the screens is crazy.
I tell you what, I went from like VHS and 3/4 inch tape and carrying all these batteries and stuff around. Now this digital stuff, I love it. because
Yeah.
you can manipulate it. You can do all
whatever you
kind
wanna
of.
do. But that's the thing that scares me now. Everything you look and see or hear, you don't know if it's real or not.
Yeah, and I'm using some animation just like the ad I had introducing you coming with the man supposed to be me with the white hair and the mustache and stuff, pushing in things, and I had to time up the IA with my voice to that
Yeah.
animation's lips,
Yeah.
and stuff like that is neat.
Yeah.
Now, you had one on there, a commercial you did, where you was driving down the road, but you were driving, but there was no car underneath of you
Yeah.
until
Yeah.
you got there and stopped, and you shut the door, and there's
And
the
it
truck.
popped up. Yeah. Yeah.
And people, you go on YouTube and just look up some of these ads right here.
Would you pull up just Union Chrysler or
Yes,
something like that? Yeah.
ads. And it come up, I think it was 20 some or something like that on this particular one. And you get to meet Dino, because I think the very first one you did on that was you had the like the Crocodile Dundee outfit.
Oh, it was, yeah. I
with
had
the
to-
hat
yeah.
and stuff.
And what people used to always ask me, where's this Dino? I mean, because we made him look 50 feet tall. He was coming through the trees. He was
yeah.
huge.
Well, he was
and
big
all
when
it
you
was
built it.
just the actual Jurassic Park dinosaur toy,
Yeah.
you know. And so, I mean, we had, my grandson got it now. It's like this big, you know. So, yeah. It was a lot of fun what they could do with
Yeah,
it.
because it's like bigger. When you first had it, it's like you had your flashlight and it's showing
Yeah,
like
look
the
up and he's coming
spotlight,
running
and
through
there you
trees.
Come up and say, "What's that?" Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you started getting even more creative with them, and you come up with Dino Junior.
Yeah.
to come in there.
Little more animated. It was, yeah.
Yeah, it's more like it's a toy.
Cartoonish thing, but it was,
Right.
yeah. And that's all that was, a little toy. I found it in his remote control, and we'd shoot it and then blow it up, and yeah, I mean, it was fun. It was fun.
Yeah, and it.
And it
Caught
caught
attention.
everywhere I went. I mean, literally, somebody had seen those commercials.
Right.
Because we were on all those cable channels. Then we did do a lot with Channel 7. Then there for a while, when we were doing these movie things, the people at Channel 62, which is Channel 7's sister station.
Right.
I don't remember what it was back then. I don't know if it was a WB or something like that. But anyway, they had a Sunday afternoon movie, and they'd have somebody talking, you know, when they go to the commercials and all that, talking about the movie, and you know, well, they came to me and wanted me to do that. And so we did that for about 2 years. We did every one of those, which was a great way for us to get our commercials in there. And we just sat in the director's chair and talked about the movie, and you know, we'd shoot that once a month for all 4 movies they were going to do that month. And
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Oh, I bet that was.
Yeah, it was
Of course,
pretty
you got
cool.
to see some good movies too. Didn't
Yeah, yeah. Well, I didn't watch them all. I just watched before the commercial and after the commercial.
Oh, okay.
when I had to be talking about what's going on in the movie, they gave me the script. But yeah, but they did have some good movies. So yeah, that was a
they
lot
gave
of
you
fun
script for
times.
that, huh?
Pardon?
They wouldn't let you just talk on your own on that, would they?
No, not much. I did ad lib a little bit.
Yeah. Have you thought about? I know you do your own commercials for even WBCU, and like I said, it just goes so smooth for you because you've been doing it for years.
Yeah.
And
Well, like I say, if you know what you're talking about, or I don't mean to sound like I'm smart. I'm just saying if you know what you're going to say,
Right.
it makes it a whole lot easier.
It does.
So,
it
yeah.
does. And that's part of the creativity there is to when you're doing something like I do a lot of these videos and stuff, and I make some crazy videos too, but I kind of know what I want to do. It's like I made one of 3 of me, and I was talking. Each me was talking to each other.
Yeah.
And took some time, and I
Yeah,
know
but
I had to,
yeah, absolutely. We did a lot of that back then too. We'd have 3 or 4 of me on one commercial.
Yeah, I did
all in
see
the
that.
same thing.
Yep.
You know, all
One popped in this way out
Yeah,
of
I
the
came in
truck.
from this side and that side.
think it was the guy-
It was in the showroom.
A
Yeah.
mechanic one looked for me, Mechanic U.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I did see that one.
So that technology has been around a long time, so it's kind of cool.
Yeah,
But,
and it gets better.
But like I say, there's a lot of great things going on in Union right now. Everybody seems to have the same vision of where we're trying to go and trying to make it better, and it's an exciting time all the way around for the city and the county and the university and everything.
Right.
So it's exciting to be part of that, to see there's some growth coming, and so.
Okay, and then another thing I want to talk to you about that most people don't know, and we're going to talk about your music. A lot of people don't know that. Now I know because I've known you some, and you played in a variety show that played Elvis and sung Elvis.
Yeah, that's my. You back talking about my dad now. He told me that the Elks Lodge was going to do a variety show, and everybody was going to dress up as different characters and sing and everything. And I said, "Oh, really?" He says, "You're going to do Elvis." I said, "No, I'm not going to do Elvis." And he said, "Oh, yes, you are." So then he had bought this Elvis suit.
Now that was a nice suit.
Very nice suit, and so there was no way to get out of it. You know what I'm saying? So, and y'all remember you shot all those, you videoed all those, and we had so much fun doing that. We were talking about that the other day.
A sold out house. I mean, we had those variety shows.
We'd have the Blues Brothers, and we'd have Willie Nelson, and we'd have George Jones, and the original Hank Williams, and Janis Joplin, and I mean, you name Sonny and Cher.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even remember. We had them all. It was
Alan Jackson. Willie Nelson, and see, people don't know this, that one of the criteria of that variety show is that you got to dress like the artist, and you got to sing it.
You had to sing it. We did. This wasn't karaoke. We had to sing it.
You had to sing it.
One of them I did. I started the show off as Toby Keith. Had the beard, the bandana, the hat, everything, flannel shirt, and all that, and the guitar. And then I had to leave and run home and shave all that off and get the Elvis suit on and come back and finish the show. Yeah, so that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, you came in the side door and you had bodyguards.
Oh, we had bodyguards and everything.
That stood up there.
It was
up there.
It was a show, I tell you. So, anyway, cheap entertainment.
It was. But I tell you what, we sold out. I mean, we just had that room packed full of people.
Yeah, we did. Several times, too. I mean, we did it probably 3 or 4 times.
3 or 4 times, yeah.
Yeah.
And amazing that the ones that were in it that actually could sing,
Absolutely.
And that they've never done this before.
Yeah.
And that was the good part about it.
Yeah, we did.
Now, that didn't get you started in music, because I know that you probably was in that a little bit of music before even the variety shows.
Well, I played trumpet in high school, and that was it. I didn't know anything about music or anything.
Well, now.
And I was on the corner.
Different.
I was up there at the corner lot by the Exxon, and this guy pulled up my car, and I went out and talked to him, and I said, I need to show you something. What do you look for? He said, "You that guy on the radio every day at 5 o'clock," because we started doing a show on WBCU back in the day. At 5 o'clock every day, I'd run up there and do a show, Top 5 at 5, and that way I could talk about the cars. Maybe I'd just take it on trade or whatever, and we'd talk about, whose birthday was in Nashville and play top 5 songs.
Right.
Well,
matter of fact, I heard it the other day.
It's still on there. I don't go do it, but Daniel does it.
Right.
But this guy was Toby King from back in the day here. Toby King, the Chocolate Buttermilk Band. I mean, he's sold over 1 million records, and he was always, R&B and blue, but he had wrote a country album, and he was wanting to do something with that country album, and he wanted my help, like I knew somebody. And I said, "Well, Toby, let me tell you," I said, 5 minutes before that show, I just look it up on my phone, whose birthday, who's playing concert here in Greenville or whatever. I mean, I don't know any of this stuff, I mean, I like country music, but.
Right.
So anyway, long story short, he had wrote this album, then his mom had gotten cancer and got sick, and he came in off the road and stayed with her, and now he was wanting to get back out doing this. So he had wrote some songs, and we started, and he started me in writing with him. And I kind of got hooked. It was, because now I've gone from 30-second TV commercials to 60-second radio spots to now you're kidding me, I got 3-4 minutes to get my word out there? This is great, First time I went up to Nashville, I was meeting with them, and they were like, most people don't have enough words. You know, they're
Right.
having a hard time thinking what else could I say, and we literally got to cut some of your words out. You know, so yeah, I've been doing it for about 10 years. Yeah, you're right. A lot of people don't know about it, and but it started out. My dad, we were talking about it. He had gotten really ill, and I had to move him up here from Florida, and I was taking care of him while I was running the oil change. So,
Right.
I mean, I was at home a lot, and I had bought a guitar 2 or 3 years before that. And I was sitting there watching TV one night, and I was like, man, you're just sitting there wasting your time watching TV. Why don't you learn how to play that guitar? So I got online, got on YouTube, and found somebody on there that I really could understand, and it wasn't doing it technical. They literally were teaching you how to play a song like now.
Right.
You know. So I started doing that, and then I had been writing with Toby, and so I just started writing songs, and been real fortunate up in Nashville to have the opportunity to go up there and record, and I've recorded over 50 songs. And it goes back to what you were talking about earlier, as far as when I first started doing it, they'd have a singer come in, they'd hire some guy to come in and sing my songs.
Right.
Well, sometimes that was good, sometimes it wasn't. Then the guy that I deal with up there, an engineer, producer, he's like, Tim, why in the world are you not singing your songs? I said, because number one, I can't sing. And he said, well, yeah, you can sing as good as what these guys are doing, and country music is passion. You're
Right.
storytelling.
Yep.
You're the one that wrote the story. You need to get in here, sing it. So I started singing some of them. I've got probably 40 of them or so. But then last year I did get a publishing deal, so I've got them pitching the songs to artists, but that is about like trying to win the lottery.
Yeah.
You know. So, but I did it. But I never did it for the business. And I sit there and I look, and I go to Nashville and I see all these people. This is their dream. And they're working. They're waiting tables like we're talking about.
Right.
They're doing all this. They're trying to do whatever. And I sit there, and sometimes I just got to pinch myself and say, they're trying to get the opportunity to go in there and record one song. You know what I'm saying? So I've been fortunate enough for the songs, and I've getting some pretty good traction on some of them. But hey, I've thought about it. Hey, you get older, you retire, whatever. You know, physically, I'm probably not going to be able to do a whole lot. After running around working all this time. So I'm like, I can always play the guitar. Can always write, and it's really good for your mind because
Right.
it makes you, it really makes you think.
Well, relaxing, and it's something that you enjoy doing.
Yeah, I do enjoy it.
It's almost
Yeah.
like it's a break.
Yeah, it's a break, but it's also it makes you work mentally. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Keeps your mind fresh.
Yeah.
Now, you had is it a voice coach that you had at one time? Because I seen something there that you made a comment. I don't know if it might be the engineer or was like a voice coach.
Well, I did have a voice coach at one time, and I just was really lucky with when we were talking about Toby. We did a small CD on him, a little 5-song thing, and we were so fortunate because we were going to go to the studio and cut this, and the guy we wanted to do it, he was going to be out of the country for a couple weeks. So Toby, he said, ask him if he knows a guy named Julian King. So we had him on the phone. I said, you know a guy named Julian King? And he said, you know Julian? I said, no, but we heard he's pretty good. He said, yeah. And he said, yeah, I know him. He comes to the studio sometimes, blah, blah, blah. I said, well, do you think you could call him and see if he could do these cuts for us? And he said, well, I don't know. I mean, he's big time. I mean, he does all Tim McGraw stuff and Faith stuff, and I mean, he won a Grammy with Faith, and
Wow.
And I said, well, just call him. You know what I'm saying? I want Julian King. I don't know who it was, but I thought it was kind of funny. It's Toby King and Julian King. So 2 days later, the guy calls me. He says, man, you must be living life good. He said, Julian said he's got one day available that month, and it's the day you want to come up. I said, well, he's going to do it then, right? And he goes, yeah. So we met this guy, Jerry. He's just like sitting here, just like with us, man. Yeah. And he's become such a great friend. We were up there 2 weeks ago, and to go up there and do some studio work. And he's actually got a studio in his house, too, in the basement.
Right.
So I had parked this motel, and I walked out there, and something was all over my car. I was like, what the heck is this? Well, we got out to his house, and he's like, man, we got to get this off your car. I said, yeah. I said, let's go ahead and do what we need to do, and I'll come out. And he said, well, you can wash it right here if you want to. And I said, okay. So I got a bucket and a hose, and he's got an old classic car out there. He was showing us that he just got, so it was spotless, you know. So anyway, I said, okay. So anyway, we come out there, and I'm over there trying to get the hose and turn it on and everything. I look up, and he's washing a car. He's getting the biggest kick out of somebody coming up there that has a car wash, came all the way to Nashville to wash his car. And yeah, it was funny. But he's just just an awesome guy. So I've been so fortunate to have somebody that knows the business like he does. And it was just a fluke. It was just a fluke deal. And he,
Well, sometimes it's the best ones.
well, he knows. I mean, he gets the best musicians and everything. And so it's been a lot of fun. But you know, hey, you gotta have something. I don't have time to go fishing or hunting or to sit still. So I mean, it's
Well, if you're like me, I get bored if I'm sitting there. I just can't sit there with the fishing line, and I'm saying it now. They got Hank Parker coming next week.
do you really? That's good. And then now I've really gotten involved with the university over there, and you know, I've been on the board for higher commission for about 15 years, and
That's Union and Lawrence, right?
yeah. Well, and then we moved to a different facility in Clinton. Actually, is where we're at down there now. So thank goodness they gave us a school down there. It's awesome, and the things that are happening at the university. For years, we didn't have, the state wouldn't give us any money. I mean, they talked about closing us down at one time and all that. But now we've been fortunate to get the funding that we need and deserve. The schooling now if you live in Union or Lawrence County, I mean, it's pretty much free.
It is.
And now they just announced with Upstate that they're doing this 2+2 program. You do your first 2 years here, then you're going to do the next 2 through Upstate. And it's going to end up costing you nothing for the whole 4 years,
Wow.
more or less. Now you got to pay for your books, but still, I mean, the things that are out there for the education, it's finally starting to see. And I can't really say this for sure, but a lot of it, for all those years, they told us this is educational money for the scratch cards and all this money.
Oh yes.
You know, so thank you if you spent all that money on that. I think apparently it's trickling down. We're getting it somewhere, whether it's in the high schools or it's in the universities, but. You know, it was exciting. A couple of weeks ago, we had the graduation at USCU, and it was the biggest class they'd ever graduated over there. So, and it's just continuing to get bigger, and they got great staff over there, great professors, and it's just one of those things that a lot of people here don't, you don't realize what you have here, and you've got to tap into it, and you got to use it, because you'll look back and say, man, I'm so glad I did that. And there's a lot of people I meet now that went to school there 40 years ago. And we're going to be coming up on our 60th anniversary next year for USCU. And they talk about it as, hey, it was just great, and that's.
It is. And the professors and all there are more personal. The classes is not, you don't have 200 or 300 in a classroom.
No.
Because you have more one-on-one attention. And to me, the quality of the education that you'll get there is just astonishing. I know when I went there, they really, they helped me. If I needed help, there was someone there to help me.
It's just a small town college, but it's big. It's University of South Carolina.
It is.
I mean, when you get your diploma, it says University of South Carolina.
That's right.
Yeah,
it does. Yeah, I got when I got my associates, got my bachelor's. It was University of South Carolina, Columbia, but I still got it from here.
Yeah,
and convenient.
Yeah,
and now they got the housing.
Yeah, we're working on getting more housing. I tell you what, and that's what I was saying earlier. We're talking about the city and county and the people, the powers to be, and everybody trying to work together. And there's just going to be a lot of stuff coming together over the next 2 or 3 years that's going to change the whole downtown area. And not to say we're going to make it into a college town, but it is going to be to a point which everybody's going to benefit from.
That's right.
Right now, a lot of us don't benefit from the university, but what's going to come around the university with restaurants and things, business comes with, they want to know that there's that volume I was talking about earlier. You gotta have some volume. So.
Right. And we got a beautiful downtown.
Oh yeah,
it's got the potential there.
And really to have a university right there in downtown.
Yeah,
that's a lot of places have a college or technical school or whatever, and it's out on the outskirts or whatever. This is part of that. It'll be a huge part of downtown Union, and it always has been, and it's going to stay that way, and it's going to just continue to grow.
Well, Tim, we're at the top of the hour. We're about quick.
Yeah, great.
And I really appreciate all the information and the fun we had. It was nice knowing how you got to Union, that you just
Yeah,
didn't prop up, out there. You just come walking in, and you've been very successful in your business or businesses throughout Union.
Well, I got to thank the people of Union. They supported us, and sometimes you go to a smaller community, and as an outsider, lots of times people, which there may be some of that, but hey, I'm just trying to help people out,
Right.
and I'm not planning on going anywhere. I plan on retiring here and retiring and dying, I guess, here. So it's
Well, I
I don't know why anybody want to go anywhere else, and there's a lot of positive stuff here.
Well, I know wherever you go, they know who you are.
Yeah.
You walk in a restaurant, you walk anywhere in Union, they know who Tim is.
Yeah.
And all.
Well, thanks for having me on, Jerry, and
well,
thanks for digging up some of them old
yes.
memories and stuff.
All right, and thank you for being on the show. I appreciate it. And next week we're going to have Hank Parker. He is a professional fisherman, and if you want to learn about how to catch some fish, well, you stay tuned next week, and he'll take you through it. He's got some good stories there, and I know when he was in high school there, he kind of left a little bit. Told his dad even in high school, I want to become a professional fisherman. So he has. So you got to stay tuned to next Monday and see Hank. Hope you have a good night and a great day,